Guys, if you ever get Thornton's chocolate fudge brownies, they are actually, like, insane.
See, it's not just Sophie that likes to delay things.
No, but, like, seriously, I'm not even kidding, right? Like,
Yeah, they are
no
good.
sponsor, I promise. They are so
No
amazing.
sponsor to like 4 people.
Hey, I would gladly take the money.
Ooh,
They are, like, so insanely good, though.
Hey, Pubs.
We have a burps. An eavesdropping rabbit. Hello.
Right.
Yes.
Well, then I guess we can start. Unfortunately, still no map for anything other than the world map with a giant red circle saying you are here. Partly because most of my weekend was taken up by
Me.
yeah, and Jam and Ninja.
Mostly
But nonetheless,
me.
there's a session at the very least. So, we return to our adventurers as they head for some tea and a long talk. Seemingly, all they have done since reaching the city. They follow a young man wearing a pale blue robe with specks of black. Sorry, wearing a pale blue robe specked with black spotches. Get the with the right place. They carry the same red hair as one of your party. However, it's clearly uncombed and sticks up at odd angles. The apprentice store wizard you robbed not 3 hours ago. After the harrowing journey upon the astral sea, the party doesn't seem to have time to rest, for they're being flung into the world, or at least city, of politics. They have arrived at their chosen destination of Retlam to find most have little knowledge of the undead army they speak of. It seems few have managed to make it to the floating city from the continent after all. It is a long journey. However, the challenge before the adventurers is now to find a way to spur the great arcane city into action, despite it seeming to wish to do no such thing. Conduit, and +1, what will you do?
So glad you stuck that in there. Plus
I
one.
should add the and +1 is referring to Nettle, not Perps, but you know.
Weren't we on our way to a tavern?
Yeah, we were gonna...
Nope, you were walking with your brother, which you forgot was living in the city.
Yeah, we were taking him to
Oh,
the tavern we were gonna meet as
Avenue?
Asnu.
Oh yeah, you are walking to a tavern with him.
Wow, Nate.
Shh. I only remembered the half the important bits. So yes, you are heading towards a tavern with your brother.
Yeah, we need to go to... where is it? I can't find it.
Rose scale.
Rose scale, yeah.
Yep. Although I believe he's leading the way, considering the fact he actually knows the place.
We know where it is too. We saw it on the way.
I did see it, yes.
True.
I don't think he'd appreciate me leading the way, though. I don't appreciate
I think
leading
any
the
of the
way.
party would.
No, that's very true.
Didn't realise you were still with us, to be honest.
Nettle's a good bean, I swear.
Used to Nick's just running off.
Wee.
Wow.
Wee.
Wee.
Right, so you follow Ray's brother through the city, through what you assume to be a couple more wards, towards the inn which you saw upon your first journey. It is relatively in line with all the other buildings, stone, wooden roof, probably decently sized windows with glass and beams, shutters, a few little flower boxes on the outside, and indeed the inn sign hanging above the door, written in 2 languages, Common and Draconic, both of which say the Rose Scale. And there is a small depiction of what appears to be a couple of scales, rose in colour, weirdly enough, much to everyone's surprise. You open the door and walk in, There are a couple of patrons in there too who appear to be having an arm wrestle at the moment.
Armrest.
Yeah, they're having an arm rest after an arm wrestle. There you go. Along with a couple of elves who are dressed in robes, not too fancy, but sort of the same which you've seen most people wearing, akin to what Archie is wearing, actually. And they seem to be enjoying some drinks and sharing stories around a small table to the corner. As you enter, there's the sound of a swinging door as a hobgoblin sticks their head sort of around the corner and looks over the bar and spots you guys. And goes, new visitors. Well, do come in, do come in. What can I get for you?
I go for an ale.
Ale,
Ale for me as well, thank you.
ale,
Make that 3.
3 ales. I'll take one. 4 ales.
We all look to Nettle.
Oh, wait. Ale?
5 ales. All look to Archie. Water.
You've gotten boring.
I'm still technically at work, thank you.
That wouldn't have stopped the Archie I grew up with.
Yes, well, the Archie you grew up with didn't have to deal with some of this. Right, shall we sit down? As the hobgoblin bustles off. I say bustles off, essentially just draws his head back into the kitchen and you hear the sound of things being shuffled around and then a fuck, before kind of a broom.
Need some better innkeepers, Nate. They keep breaking stuff.
And then some more glasses being picked up. Your ales are poured and served to you before he heads back to where he exited from. Seemingly good enough hearing to hear you enter, though.
Shit, I'm so sorry I unplugged my microphone so I didn't hear the last 30 seconds.
Good job. Good job. Well, you see, a green dragon turned up and ate you.
The end.
The end.
Yay. Right, on to the next campaign.
Well, you play. All of you play. Actually, that would actually be quite a cooler campaign, playing as the undead. Campaign ideas.
I just
Anyway,
anyway, oh god.
I know what's happening with a TPK at the very least. So, Archie kind of adjusts himself, takes a sip of his water. Right, what's this about home? Am I actually going to need an ale?
Sorry, what? Lewis was talking to me.
After she asked me a question.
It's true.
So, what's this news about home? Am I actually going to need an ale?
You might need a few. I tell him everything.
Wow. So, about 20 minutes later.
No, I don't. I like subtly beat around the bush a lot. Turn to Rose for some help.
She is not the best help. She can give you details, but in avoiding saying what you're trying to say, she's not going to be very good.
Oh. I'm not very creative with this kind of thing. I order him an ale.
You can have mine.
Alright.
I mean, stuff's gross, honestly.
Have you really not had any contact with anyone since you got here?
Since I got here, no, I've had some contact with some people. Just the past couple months have been a bit hectic. we've had a few worrying divinations. We've been preparing. There was a couple of breakthroughs. That's been exciting. The guard got recalled. That was a bit of a pain because some of the wards got broken. And then now everyone's buzzing about the bloody maelstrom. So it's been a bit hectic here. Own world problems. Our own world problems. Our own problems within the world. And kind of, well, you know how it is. You get involved in something, you know, only now and then you suddenly go, oh shit, I should actually talk to them. And there is a bit of a time difference from the distance travelled.
Uh-huh. You're not gonna like what I have to tell you. So
Right.
you already know that our mother is heading here.
I believe so. It's probably going to take a while. Especially with the maelstrom now.
What's a maelstrom?
Well, you see, this one is about, well, I think we measured it to be about 30 miles wide the last time we checked. Was it 30 or 40? Something like that. It keeps on growing. It's a pain to keep the eye on, because divination magic doesn't seem to quite grasp it, and it's being a real pain and a real worry. It's as what they're essentially. It's just take it as a patch of ocean where no one's going to really be able to get through. Even the airships struggle going over it.
Oh. Is that why you're recalled?
One of the reasons, yeah. Other reasons, they had a couple of enhancements they wanted to stick on the ship, but yeah, they some upgrades. They're worried about what may come of this maelstrom. It's growing in size, and then we've had we got a couple other problems coming our way as well. Nothing we can't handle, but good to have them around in full force.
We might be adding to those problems.
Right. Well, I'm glad they're here then.
There's no easy way to say this, Archie. There is no more high ever. The family is scattered. So has the kingdom. Everyone. It's yeah.
There's a brief pause before there's a as the glass he was holding fell. It's like, what? Before suddenly the hobgoblin head kind of peers around the corner and goes, Oi, I'm running out of glasses! Gotta pay for that! And kind of just disappears back into wherever he comes from. I have his fallen?
Yeah.
I knew we were at war, but I didn't realize it was that bad.
It's a hell of a lot worse than that.
How can it be worse than falling?
Well, there's sort of a lich on the loose. Kind of a anywhere he goes, the undead follow kind of situation. Like I said, we're bringing quite a few problems with us.
This doesn't seem to change his composure much. From like the initial shock of what you originally said to then saying that, nothing seems to have really like. It doesn't seem like, a sudden next big revelation. I didn't realize we were at war with a lich.
I've seen him myself.
No, I don't doubt it. I just didn't realize we were at war with one. Don't doubt you. They can be real bastards sometimes.
Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah, I think I might need that ale. And he kind of picks up and starts drinking, continues drinking.
Yeah,
And
your sister knows.
once about half of the glass is gone, he kind of puts it back down. Oh, it's not going to be good for later. Well, shit.
Shit, indeed. But
Said
that's
family's scattered though, so they're alive.
they're alive. Like I said, our mother's heading over here, and father and dear Theodore are heading to the east to search for allies that way. Last I heard, anyway.
East. Why are they going east?
That's all I know.
Seems like I have missed out a lot up here. So is that why you came?
Yeah, in part. Also, I wanted to
Just
see
to
my
you.
idiot brother.
Ah. Idiot. Strong word, to which I strongly disagree with. Clumsy, perhaps, but not idiot.
I also took one of your books and have been trying to spellcast. I take my now very damaged wizard book out.
Just looks it over. Well, I can fix the book, but not the contents.
That's all right.
That one might take some time.
I have my favorite ones memorized. I make a mean Thunderwave, you know.
You'll have to show me, but not here. They get very touchy when magic is used, and they know who uses it. They get very touchy.
Yeah, I realized that quite early on. Not everyone likes loud noises.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Some people like having their eardrums. I, for one, find them quite useful, although sometimes I do wish they weren't there. What have you done to my poor book? He's kind of now beginning to thumb through the pages.
Well, I was never as studious as you were, but I do like the idea of, casting spells. Pew pew.
Pew pew indeed. I'm sure I can get you some more pew pew spells if you really want them.
Awesome. I'm going to take you up on that.
I'm going to give you a book which doesn't have quite as much value to me. I was looking for this for so long.
Sorry.
He kind of tucks it next to a near identical looking book, but just slightly less tattered.
Ooh.
I'll get you a new one.
I appreciate that. Big bro.
I'll note some interesting ones down. Little sister. So destructive. That hasn't changed.
Oh, you'd be
Well.
disappointed if I did.
Oh, most certainly.
But to be
So-
serious,
Yes, you clearly didn't come here just to taunt me about my love of my dear book and then crushing my hopes about it.
no. We kind of want to go to war, but we need the Mist Guard to do that.
Well, that's gonna be a difficult thing to achieve.
Oh yeah, we know how complicated it's going to be. Something about a council.
Yes. Yeah, get them to all move out, I don't think is even in the scope of possibility. Yeah, the council makes most of the large decisions. Smaller things can be handled individually, and then there are different subsections of the council, and it's all. And he kind of just sort of waves his hand in the air and rolls his eyes. But long and short of it, for such a strong thing, such a declaration of war, would take a majority of the 13 representatives. Now, that's not to say that you can't get some. You might be able. If you could convince one or two of them, you might be able to get some help. Just not quite on the scale which you're probably hoping for, but it would be better than nothing. And you're also going to have to get a meeting with them anyway. Bloody hell.
But we need more than one or two. This is like, I don't think you understand the scope of what we're trying to fight.
Perhaps I don't. I haven't seen it firsthand, and all that I know is, well, my kingdom's gone. Well, our kingdom. Father's kingdom. The kingdom's gone. But other than that, all you've really given me is that there's a lich knocking around. I hate to say it, sister, but that won't motivate them.
I mean, every minute we spend talking, the Lich's army just grows. Do you not know what a Lich is? The whole rising bodies from the dead? He's got pretty much unlimited resources. The more kingdoms he overruns, the bigger his army grows.
Of course I know what a bloody lich is. We have 3 of them in the city.
That's unnerving.
What?
This is something you should probably take on board quite quickly if you're here. Necromancy is not seen as evil.
Ooh, I know someone who would disagree with that.
Some more religious folk and some less educated in the arcane arts folk believe that necromancy is evil. Now, some of them are educated enough to understand that necromancy is a broad school of magic. And they like certain aspects of it, such as the ability to return one's loved one to life. But they're less keen with the one which puppets their loved one's body around to do whatever the puppeteer wants. However, there's nothing inherently evil with it. Or at least that is the way it is seen here. Religions, again, disagree. He kind of just waves his hand. It is a tool and a means to an end. Now, you say that his power is... he has infinite resources, and I would very quickly suggest you be hesitant in suggesting such a thing.
I look over at Rose, nudge her a bit.
It's like, it's stronger than anything I've seen. So are half the people here. Christ's sake, we're on a flying city. Over the middle of an ocean. With hunks of rock and wood walking around. With some form of sentient or intelligence behind them. I don't know how this bloody thing works. The city has its own climate whilst it's in amongst clouds. There's a lot of strange and powerful things which can be done with magic. Now, obviously, raising an army of undead is probably seen as quite a bad thing for the majority of people, especially if said army is going and killing and then growing in size. But you might want to go at a different angle if you're trying to convince the council to help.
What do you mean?
Well, as stated before, we do have a couple liches here. They are well beyond the means of politics. I think one of them accidentally became one anyway.
What?
He just never died, and then continued in undeath. Some of them are much more studious than me. You'd be surprised. The other two, I do believe, sought after it. However, again, there's nothing inherently evil with it, and this place is a testament that seeking power and strength, especially through the arcane, isn't always a problem.
Then
Now, perhaps if you angle it more along the lines of he's or she, I don't know what this lich is, they are trying to just constantly gain power and are able to build it to seem like it is a threat to what this city is. Seeking knowledge, the city keeps knowledge. Might want the knowledge, might involve attacking the city. Although even then you're going to be met with skepticism and laughs. To them, it's nothing. It could be seen as nothing more than another kingdom merely just invading another one.
Then, what about throwing in it as in a different angle? If the Lich is invading different kingdoms and, well, a kingdom possibly moving on to other kingdoms and growing in size, as a Lich, I imagine, he probably would have his own resources of knowledge and power, especially magical artifacts if he is wanting to achieve such a goal. It could be their reward. There might be stuff he has that they don't.
You might be able to angle it in such a way that won't get you a war with him, but that will certainly get you a couple of interested parties.
And that's a start.
Do we have any idea what his end goal is, or just that he's conquered our hometown?
I don't see that it matters.
You might not, but they do. If it's just one kingdom invading another, why should they care? It's politics which they have nothing to do with.
It's
If
not
it's
just
to try
one
and
kingdom invading another, it's the Lich overtaking the entire mainland.
So far, he's invaded our kingdom. I assume probably in the efforts of invading our allies, or has invaded them as well. But that is no different to what Adelaide was trying to do to us anyway, and they wouldn't have stepped in there. Now, if you had proof that, say, this Lich was trying to attain godhood, well, that might be something they're more willing to rally behind, because it is now a threat to the city.
So you think they'll only help us if this Lich is a threat to them?
Yes.
It's a bit selfish.
These people live in luxury. It's really no surprise.
Well, it was built by the rich for the rich and smart. There are literal gates to which they keep. Heck, I'm actually surprised most of you even got up here. How did you get up here? Wait. You were talking to Tullius. Why were you talking to him?
What do you mean?
How did you get up? They don't let anyone up here, as you may have realized when you got up here. There aren't even any teleportation circles.
I
aren't
show
even
him my
allowed.
ring. We're part of the Misguard.
Well, that explains that. Yeah. Now, if you didn't have those, you would have found getting up here considerably more difficult.
I glance at Nettle.
That is what I'm saying. Yes, this is run by a bunch of selfish pricks. But
You seem quite at home.
just because that is what are the people who run it doesn't mean that is who everyone is. Also, you would be a fool to try and run something without being a little selfish.
You know, we're royals, that's what we do.
You would not rule for long if you weren't a little selfish. If you did not have your interests and your goal to maintain staying in power, you would not stay in power.
Well, actually, you know, I was never one for politics. That was the
Yeah.
boys' job.
I'll put it this way. If you merely seek to make a place better, you will never be able to be in a position of political power to do so. Those who control, those who are at the top, are only at the top because those below them want them to be there. So to stay at the top, you must keep the ones below you happy. And this is just a tree all the way down. And so, even if you are the most selfless person, for you to be a successful ruler, you would not be able to maintain that. For those on the council to stay on the council, they must act with the interests of those who they represent. And those who they represent want things for themselves. So, inherently, those who sit on the council act in a selfish way. Those who live here do not want to see their home fall. And so, if there is a threat to them, they will want them protected. And if that means someone they don't particularly care about has to suffer, why should they care? Welcome to the world of politics.
I'm not happy. I scowl at him.
I'm not the one who makes the rules. In fact, there aren't even really any rules about it. It's just what happens.
We still got to try. Could you get us an audience with the council?
Me? I don't know. We would have to ask Riss or someone else who has some significant influence. You might be able to get it through the Misguard. Riss might even struggle. His research doesn't take him into the inner circle. The middle island. We are on the outer and middle.
But we've already asked the Misguard, and they've told us it could take a while.
They told us we should talk to the wizards.
Yes, you'll get a lot of that. Oh no, that's not my business. Talk to so-and-so. Oh no, that's not my business. Why did they send them to me? Talk to so-and-so. Oh no, that's not my business. Why did you ask me? Talk to so-and-so.
Be the death of me.
I just want to get up into the sky, but no, I'm not allowed. Anyway, sorry, a bit of work problems. Someone complaining
Would
about
you
it
like
raining
another
over their
ale?
house, and all of a sudden it's no, that's not my problem. That's so-and-so's problem. It's like, it's your bloody house.
Nettle just pushes their ale across the table slowly.
He just starts drinking. Wait, I need to return Riss's medallion anyway. He's currently stuck outside the lab. We can see what we can do. Can't promise you anything.
I'll take it at this point.
Yeah. But think through what you're going to say. You're only going to get one shot and probably not much time for
Words are never my strong suit.
it. So is that depressing stuff done?
Yeah, that's all the news I've got.
Well, hey, at least we're still alive.
Long may it last, I guess.
Yes, well, it's good to see you, sister. I'm glad you came here, even if it was under the, more dire of circumstances. Glad to see you're well. As I said, I'm still technically on duty, and as he kind of stands up, he rushes himself down a bit, picks up the remainder of the ale, looks at it, puts it back down. I will, see what I can do. You going to be staying here, or?
Yeah, we're supposed to be meeting someone. Oh, actually, aren't we supposed to go see Briss? To ask about this council meeting?
I mean, you can if you want. You can come with. I need to go see him and give him back this, and he kind of holds the stone which Vincent had borrowed from him earlier.
Found.
Yeah, let's go see Briss. Briss was a nice welcome.
I'll stay here and wait for afternoon.
Alrighty. Well, come on then. He might have been trying to climb up the tower at this point.
God.
Intelligence doesn't mean common sense. You'll quickly learn that here. As I'm sure you've realised with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. And strength doesn't mean intelligence. And with that, he kind of quickly dodges away from you and kind of heads towards the door.
I head after him, and then when I catch up, I punch him in the arm.
Get armour on. Jeez. Warn me next time.
Never.
Some things never change. Just you coming, or?
I'll stay with Eryn. I'll let them have their bonding time. Sibling moments. A few and far between.
Rose goes to step on Vincent's foot. And just slowly apply some pressure downwards through the steel boot.
Uncanny dodge, half pressure.
You managed to get all but your little toe out.
Awesome.
Nettle?
I want to go so badly, but I'm probably not allowed. Just that awkward, like, shuffle. I really want to
Third
go,
roll.
but it's kind of awkward to say I want to go.
No, come along. The more the merrier.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks. Zoom.
Any friends of my sister's welcome. Although, they're your responsibility. He kind of points at you, Ray.
I won't touch anything.
Right, I guess we should go quickly. Otherwise we might have to untangle him from something.
Vincent,
Yes.
do you have any siblings?
No one worth mentioning.
So, no.
What about you?
Yeah,
Oh, really? You never
yeah.
mentioned them?
Well, it's been a while since I've spoke with her.
And why is that?
We were separated. A while ago.
Sounds tragic.
Yeah. The way you were talking about siblings sounded like you had one.
I suppose I've had many in a roundabout way.
Right.
Still, they should be fine. But I wouldn't expect much help from these people.
No, me neither.
Doesn't matter what city you go to, how fancy it looks on the outside, how welcoming the people are, how clean the streets. As soon as you dig a little deeper, you always find that whoever's in charge always looks down on the people who need help the most.
Hmm. Very well put.
I've had experience.
Because those who are helping those that need it the most rarely have time to be in charge.
I narrow my eyes.
She just kind of shrugs. Be cynical all you want. There is still good in the world, even if you don't see it.
Well, it would help if some of that good was on show, or why should it exist at all?
Maybe it's because you don't look for it, you never see it.
Maybe
Or you're
it's
looking
cynical
for
to
something
believe.
so specific, you miss everything else around it.
Perhaps. Or maybe it's cynical to believe that the only way anyone could ever get power was by doing it a selfish way. Perhaps that's just what you believe because that's what you've seen time and time again. Perhaps if actually people got together and decided that they were going to put the right people in charge, the people who cared, the people who could make a difference, then we would live in a much more equal world where people didn't have to see horrors that no young person should ever witness. But maybe that's just me being a dreamer.
I think it is. Human nature will. The nature of all sentient creatures will eventually bring rotten apples to the basket. And hey, disease spreads quickly. God, what strength is this ale? I just cannot talk. Blah. Alrighty then. So, Ray and Nettle follow Archie through the streets.
I'm just going to go to the loo. Carry
Or take that moment to have a drink. Right. So Ray and Nettle follow Archie
Yay!
through the city streets. He's sort of chatting and giving you like small, odd tidbits of information about like the different places which you find yourselves walking past. Essentially warning you to stay away from one or two people. To quote, they are an asshole.
Oh, Archie's been bullied.
Aww.
He never said that. They're just a pain in the ass to deal with sometimes.
Okay.
Leads you through the city. You stay on the outer ring, to which you're eventually led to a house. It looks similar to the tavern, similar design as with most of the houses, but there is sort of a semi-lopsided tower extending out of part of it, still sticking to the same stone, which everything seems to be made out of here, with windows, slightly disjointed slightly disjointed roof with a small chimney sticking out the top of it with smoke coming out of it. There appears to be some, as you get closer, what appears to be some sort of claw marks digging into some of the stones leading to one of the upper floor windows, which is just open. And she just goes, he has wings, why doesn't he just fly? Before he kind of knocks on the door and then just pushes it open with a creak. Inside is a somewhat cluttered room. In fact, it's pretty much the entire floor is just one room, but the walls seem to be much closer in than what you would expect. And it isn't until you take a moment to glance around that you notice it is just piled high with different papers, boxes, empty vials filled with random things, a couple of jars with the odd floating thing within. Pretty sure you see an eyeball in one of them. There's a fireplace open and a doorway leading into what is the tower. Kind of beckons you in before closing the door behind. Turning and heading towards the tower. I'll go get him for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Kind of glance around. The entire house just seems to be one floor, with the upper windows still being there, and you can see the open one. Well, open, and as you kind of glance at it and look, there does appear to be talon or claw marks digging into the windowsill as well, where you assume he probably scrabbled in. There's one or two robes which are just strewn about over the place, some with different blotches on them. One which is missing an entire left sleeve, which just appears to be burnt off.
I'm so upset I promised not to touch anything now. There's so much stuff.
And there appears to be a small cauldron just over the fire, bubbling away.
It's cozy.
There's a lot of impressive looking things in here.
Hey, Nettle.
Mm-hmm.
How come you're still with us? I thought you would have left us to do your own cleric business as soon as you got to the city.
Honestly, if I'm not tagging along with a group, there's a high chance the guards will just nab me and chuck me out again.
Again?
I meant, as in, it's happened in other cities before.
Uh-huh.
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 Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
As you two at each other, maintaining eye contact, or at least Ray staring at Nettle, who is doing everything to avoid eye contact. The door kind of swings open again and Archie reappears, and the Aarakocran you met earlier appears after him. Similar robes with similar just splotches of stains of different things over them. Oh, hello. Nice to meet you again.
Hi,
Apparently
Iris.
you found my medallion, that was it.
Hello,
How you
I'm
doing?
back.
Oh, hey, Eryn.
Oh, hey, Eryn, what are you doing in here? I didn't realize.
You guys,
Yeah, our friend found your medallion. You must have dropped it when you were walking away.
He's
Maybe I
debating.
didn't put it on my belt. Nevertheless, we got it back now. Again. Damn thing just falls off all the bloody time. You'd think they'd make them more practical. Bloody Misguard get rings, but you know. No, we have to have these fancy medallions.
Why don't you have, like, an inner pocket in your robe to pop it in? Seems like a safe place.
Archie just leans in and goes, at the rate he goes through his robes, no, please, no.
Oh. Okay. Note taken.
Right, so what can I help you with? What are you doing in my home? Sorry, it's a bit of a mess. If you called, we would have cleaned up, wouldn't we, Archie? And his eyes just widen.
Archie, you live here?
It would make me clean most of it up. But we know where everything is. It's
This
functional.
is disgusting. That's what it is.
Don't tell Mother.
I'm 100% telling Mother.
No.
Anyway, we are here because Archie tells us you might know how to get an audience with the council.
Possibly. Depends, really. They might be busy. I don't know. They get annoyed at me for some reason sometimes.
It's a mystery.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very important though.
Ah, right. Well, we could always go to our institute. Talk to the mistress directly. And, well, you could pitch to her, and then she'd probably go, well, no, and go away, leave me alone. Or, please stop coming back here. Or you might get a different response. Most
Okay.
likely, come to the council at this point in time and don't be late, yada, yada, yada.
Alright, I'm willing to give that a try.
Right. Slight problem. We won't be able to get there.
Is it because I don't have a medallion?
Yeah, they get a bit tetchy.
Could
Get really
you,
tetchy when I lose mine.
which I'm sure doesn't happen very often.
No, not at all. Why, did someone say it did?
No. I look at Archie.
He's again just eyes wide, like small shakes of his head. Good.
Could you bring this person to us?
If I did, they wouldn't want to talk.
I mean,
I also need a very large bag.
what?
Maybe I could give them a letter? Put
I
a
could
fancy
write a
seal
letter.
on it. That might do it. What else? I guess I could just ask them on your behalf. That might help with that. Ring.
Is there
Rings are
maybe a different messenger we could use? Archie, how about you? Could you deliver a message on our behalf?
And a letter. I think a letter would be a good idea as well.
I could get it to the institute. I won't be able to get it to the mistress directly. Much as she likes to rag on Riss, sometimes they would be lost without him. Then again, they're kind of lost with him, so not saying much.
Shade.
Which apparently goes completely over Riss's head. Well, we could get the letter to the institute. I mean, Riss's name would be able to get it to them.
Everything in this city just moves so slowly. How do you get anything done when you can't just talk to each other?
Yeah, well, you can. Just the bigger the stuff is, the longer it takes to get agreed on. A house is being rained on. We can go fix that entire square. Entire ring. Well, that's going to take at least a month and a load
Have
of
you guys never
disgruntled
had an emergency before? Have you ever had to, I don't know, contact multiple rings at once? If you're under attack, say, would it take you 4 days to react?
No, that's why half the wards are there. You know those statues? Ones in the street corners.
Sure.
Well, they're first line defense. They move. Complex as hell enchantments. But they move, and they don't need. Uh, again, it's the wards, so say if we were getting attacked, well, first of all, the Mistguard and the Wyvern are. Most Wyvern riders are there as our first line defense, as well as. Well, I mean, you could call them like the border guard, as well as also customs, I guess.
All right, but how do you get word to the inner circle? There must be a way we can speed this up. They probably won't read the letter.
Well, if the city was being attacked, most people would notice it. I say most because some of them most certainly wouldn't. Plus, there are certain things which can be acted on in emergencies by individuals without us assaulting the council. No, that's not the right word. Consulting the council. God, some people would like to assault the council. So the Admiral would be able to like mobilize the Mistguard to defend the city if the city was getting attacked. Now, any further conquest of going and retaliating, now that would take talking with the council and the council agreeing, and I think they meet every 4 days. Emergency situations, they can be called together. As for ways of communicating, there are plenty of ways to communicate between. There's all sorts of different magics which allow you to do so. Some of the most simplest one, such as message, is used. The slightly more complex sending gets a fair share of use around here as well.
Any of those spells familiar to you, Nettle?
I can use sending, though I don't currently have it prepared.
Plus, they might not take kindly to someone they have absolutely no idea what they're doing or what their business is contacting them.
Especially when they find out I'm a kobold in the city.
Yeah, given that, yeah.
Alright, fine. I'll just write this letter. Start going through my stuff for some parchment. Angrily.
As you start rummaging, there's already just Archie's already holding and some ink with a quill in it just out to you.
Snap.
Table, left-hand corner.
Thank you. Nettle, come out.
Right.
Keep
Go
an eye on you.
help.
Alrighty, the other two. Vincent and Eryn. You're having your conversation about siblings, enjoying your ale, when a semi-familiar face re-enters the tavern. You kind of glance around before noticing you, and you notice that their robes are still the formal sort of... Actually, I've forgotten what colour they were. I think it was white with gold, wasn't it? Was it bronze? Curse you, brain! Still wearing the formal robes with the colours to which previously stated in a different session, which escapes my mind.
I just go with her like avatar colours. I like white.
Sort of enters, glances around, and notices the two of you before making their way over to the table. Ah, right. I'm glad you took my suggestion. I was actually expecting it to be a bit harder to find you.
We are always welcome for a drink.
Well, I can see you're enjoying yours anyway. Main order of business? Here is what I owe. And reaches out from underneath a hand from underneath their robes and drops a relatively heavy sounding pouch of coins onto the table. Enough to which the three elves in the corner having a conversation stop and eyes just slowly turn to look at you guys.
Well, I swiped the bag.
Alrighty.
Keep that
Grab.
hidden.
You kind of grab the pouch and pull it in and just hide it.
I guess if there's one person to keep a pouch safe, it's you.
I'm more interested in where you suddenly gained a great deal of gold.
And I look to her as well.
I think you'll find it's platinum.
Oh,
Ray's spidey sense tingling.
Ray just looks up from writing a letter. I sense wealth.
Like Ray's do that ching thing.
Eyes
now.
just become dollar signs.
Exactly.
Don't get distracted or you'll mess up your writing.
Sorry.
Well, quite honestly, that really raises more questions than it answers.
And then you'll have many a question to try and seek the answer for. I do not have to tell you where I got the wealth from.
no, you don't. I suppose.
I'm merely repaying a debt.
Where will you go now?
Probably hang around a little while. I had to call in a couple of favors to get that. I should, at the very least, talk to those who I had to call upon a bit more and spend a bit of time with them, explain why I had to call upon such favors before I travel back home and find those who sold me into slavery and deal with them how I see fit.
Well,
And
I
see
wish
how much
you
of my
luck.
home remains.
Where is home for you? If you don't mind me asking.
Hopefully somewhere I will never see you.
Wow. Okay.
But in the wilderness. Wilderness of the continent I believe you refer to as Jetta.
Yes, that's right.
It is in the grass plains of in between part of the Holdera mountain range.
Nate, where is that?
Blip 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 blip. Blip 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 blip.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, so it narrows it down then.
The wilderness sort of extends around like that. Although, specifically speaking, there is a small stretch there as well, which is actually inhabited and isn't considered wilderness, but that's like deepest into that part of wilderness there is. Most of this area is... It's not that it's considered uninhabitable, there's just shit there which doesn't want anyone else to inhabit it. So civilizations tend not to exist. Because they don't last very long.
Well, I hope the men that enslaved you get what they deserve.
They will. They will in time. If at the very least I'm not able to get them, time will get them before it gets me.
Can't help but feel that we made a grave mistake freeing her.
Certainly an interesting phraseology.
I'm sure your elven friend can agree. Sometimes it is merely simpler to outlive someone you have a grievance with.
Eryn nods solemnly.
Now look at me wittering on. I believe that is my debt paid for you rescuing me. Hopefully you find the sum enough. Yeah. Well, I guess if we run into each other again, hopefully it'll be on slightly different circumstances.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Why were you even traveling here, by the way?
Sorry, say that again.
Why were you traveling here?
Well,
To what fortune do I have to thank you encountering me?
oh, it's a long story, but overall, there's been a bit of a lich problem over on the continent, and we were hoping to ask for help in defeating him, but it's proving quite difficult.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I would imagine
But
so.
do be careful about that.
I think I have to worry about the war down south long before I have the lich to worry about.
I suppose.
I just hope no one has decided to enter my lands. Anyway, I shall be off. Enjoy your stay, and I hope that you are able to achieve what you are hoping to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Hope.
Adieu.
Safe travels.
I will avoid boats for a while. And with that, they turn and walk out of the tavern. You cautiously peek into the coin pouch to find 200 platinum pieces.
Okay, so we tell Ray there was 50.
Wait, why are we telling her there was any money?
Well, I mean, she knows that she had to repay debt. Okay,
but we did the rescuing.
we're telling her that she gave me this fancy ring.
Well, how about we hold on to it for now and see if it comes in more useful later?
Okay, fair enough. But I am getting my share.
Sure.
And don't let that kobold see it.
Of course not. I think I can hide something pretty.
Yeah, I trust you in that respect.
She seemed unusual, though.
Yeah, something felt off, right?
Yeah, there definitely seemed more behind what she was doing than it would appear just by looking at her. I wouldn't want to guess what, but there's a lot of interesting people in this city, and I doubt many of them could easily produce 200 platinum pieces.
Not to mention, when we came in, they said that she was traveling with some sort of pact, I think.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Maybe Ray knows someone who will know. Maybe we can ask around later.
maybe. Maybe we'll never see her again.
Maybe not, but I always like to have a record of the interesting people I meet. Maybe in the future we'll have to pull in a favor or two. It's
True.
always nice to know what chips are on the table before you start playing. So what do we do now? I have no idea where Rail have got to. I can't imagine how far they've gotten now.
Well, I mean, I'm very comfortable here. Hang on,
Well,
what
then-
time is it? What time is it?
You woke up early in the morning. You took a harrowing hour and a bit ride up to Retlam. You've probably spent 2 hours wandering around. It's probably just reaching lunchtime. You are morning drinking at the moment.
Oh, that's so depressing. Okay. Well, we could always spend the platinum. I've been really wanting some new armor.
Maybe you should hold on to money for a little bit. You seem to have an obsession with spending it.
I mean, what else is money gonna do but be spent?
Well, perhaps you should broaden your horizons. There's more than just armor and weapons to buy. You can buy power with money, or you can buy the means to overthrow power. Works either way. But all I know is that you currently owe me 90 gold because you rushed out and spent all of your money on fancy arrows and magical bows. Hold on to a little bit, and maybe you'll actually be able to achieve something. You can tell the stuff that you want to do, and I bet it would take a fair amount of wealth to do it.
Maybe you're right.
So, I suggest that we wait here. Maybe we have a few drinks, pass the time. We don't know where they are, but they know that we're supposed to be here, so we just enjoy the day. Let them handle the diplomacy, the unending bureaucracy that seems to wrap itself around these kind of places.
I suppose it's been a rough past few days.
Certainly.
Yeah, have a couple of drinks, relax. Enjoy yourself.
We're on holiday. Let's relax.
I kick my boots up onto the table.
Rose rolls her eyes.
I try and copy Vincent, but I don't look as cool doing it.
She just kind of rubs her temple and goes, enjoy it while it lasts.
I intend to.
Touche. Alrighty. Back over to Ray and Nettle. Where
You
is...
don't actually want me to write a letter, do you?
No.
Thank you.
You have finished scribing down the predicament to which you find yourself in and the carefully phrased predicament you find yourself in and the
Of
request
great
for an audience to seek some form of aid to which your dear brother has been helping you write down. Right, hopefully that will do. You don't happen to have your signet ring on you, do you?
Actually, I think I do. 1 second. Let me just pat my pockets down.
The ring you actually got from your mother has the house symbol in it.
Which one was that?
The one you received along with the note.
And the
Not like,
massive
I thought that
gemstone.
was just like a gem.
Yeah, sorry, it is a gem, but it does have the insignia in it.
Cool, that'll do. Definitely got that.
Definitely will.
Okay, hand that over to him.
Looks it over, looks back at you, looks at it again and goes, "Oh, well, Mother clearly didn't want to carry this anymore." Right. He grabs some wax, lights it off a different candle before pouring it slightly onto the page, pressing it down, waiting a couple of seconds, lifting it back up, handing it back to you. I'm sure this will serve you better than me. And, well, if I was meant to have it, it would have been me and not you. Or given.
What is it? Do you mean it's more than just a gemstone?
Oh, it has the house's signature in it, but I don't think I'm going to tell you.
I'm staring at it
I'll
intently,
punch you again.
trying to figure it out.
Perhaps my tongue can be loosened.
I'm not giving you money if that's what you want.
No, I don't need money. You're not telling Mother the state of this house.
Fine, I won't tell her. But you better clean up before she gets here.
Good point. Or I could claim that the house is contaminated and she couldn't come in.
Must
And
be a
that I'm having to
spell to
stay
clean up.
in.
I've seen someone use a spell.
Yes, there's a spell to
clean.
clean, but there isn't a spell to organ. Well, no, there is a spell to organize, but it still takes
Then you have
considerable
no
effort.
excuse. You're just being lazy, Archie.
Look, the spell itself doesn't organize, it just makes organizing easier.
Sounds ideal. I advise you learn it.
I know where everything is. All I'll do is get messy again anyway.
Alright. We have a deal.
We have a deal.
So what to do?
Here, hand it here.
Give it back to him.
Right, now give me 1 second. As I have to quickly remember something. Because no one actually bothered to inspect this thing.
Well, I mean,
I
I
just
don't
thought it was an heirloom.
It is. It has an heirloom with some ability to it.
Is it now covered in wax?
No, thankfully, he used actual seal wax rather than just candle. Because, boy, howdy, don't you ever try and use a regular candle to make the seal, because that doesn't go well. So he kind of holds onto the gem and focuses on it for a bit. And I have to look something else up. Holds onto it a bit, concentrates, and you see his eyes sort of glint in the similar colour to that of the unstained parts of his robes. Mutters something underneath his breath, and you see his other hand do a few finger wiggles before he then hands it back to you. You might find that is in fact a spell gem.
I look helplessly over at Nettle.
I'm assuming.
Roll intelligence, Nettle.
Oh boy, here we go.
Well, Arcana.
Oh, Arcana? Oh. Oh man, oh, that's not my hashtag button, that's the hashtag button.
Yeah, you know what spell gems are. They are a gem which has been specifically enchanted. It's quite a specific enchant, and generally quite strong, bound to the different state of the gem. The different gems are able to hold different strengths of this attunement. However, to put it into more simple terms, it is capable of storing the magical energy of a spell. The different types of stones can store up to larger quantities of entity. It is semi-equatable to an Ioun stone, however, well-crafted gemstones made of the correct gems can hold anything up to a 9th level spell, whereas the weaker ones might only be able to hold a cantrip. You're unsure of the spell to which Archie has just put in there, but he has indeed just put a spell into there. They are essentially like a easiest way, they're kind of just like a canteen. You can put something in it. and then at a later date you can take it out of it. But once it's taken out, you're going to have to put something back in to use it again, and you can't put water and alcohol in it because it just creates a mess.
Exactly that.
So
It essentially acts as a store.
awesome. What spell did you put in it?
You're studying magic. Take a look. See if you can figure it out, little sister.
Oh, okay.
A
Try and
challenge.
do it. Cast
Okay.
Underwave on it.
No.
I don't do that.
I mean, that's one way to clean the house. Destroy
No,
it so
don't use it in the house.
Destroy it so you have to
Clear
move to a
the
new
house.
one.
No, I need this stuff here.
You could just tell me what spell's in it.
Fine. Touch it to someone you don't particularly like, and they might disappear for a while. They will come back, but they'll disappear for a while.
Oh, I know who I'm using this on. But Mother was right to give it to me. I am the natural spellcaster in the family.
You may find, I'm not sure quite how far you've got through my spellbook, but you may find that that is beyond to which something you are currently capable of casting without using it from within there.
You vex me, Archie. But noted.
The spell is of a decent level to which I am unsure if you're able to attain to. However, anyone... let me change that to most people should be able to cast what I've put in there out of it. But bear in mind, once you've cast it out of it, it cannot be cast again until you put something back into it, and whatever you put back into it is then cast out of it. As your little friend said.
Okay. This could be quite fun. Thanks, Archie.
No worries.
Alright.
Just for your information, the spell he put into there is Banishment.
It's a 4th level spell.
That gemstone in particular can hold up to 4th level spells.
Awesome. I will keep that in mind. I'm guessing I don't just throw it at someone like
No,
a Pokeball.
So banishment, you can look up the spell Banishment, but essentially you take an action to cast it out of the stone.
Okay.
Again, it's a bit like
It's not
Nyx's...
like a Pokeball.
No.
Yeah, kind of. It's a bit like Nyx's Iron Stone. It just acts as a way of preserving a spell level, essentially. Although one thing to be noted, it uses a specific... because of the level of the stone, it uses a very specific save DC or attack bonus no matter what spell you put in there. So even if you found a 1st level wizard, had them put in, I don't know, their magic not their magic missile, have them put in their firebolt.
No, that's a
And a level 1 wizard might have an attack bonus of +3, unless you're... might have an attack bonus. Well, it'd have to be like a +4 or +5. Because of the level of that spellstone, when cast out of there, that attack bonus would be a +9.
What about for saving
However, it can
throws?
only hold one spell. Even if it is just a cantrip or a 1st level spell, that thing can only hold one spell at a time. I hope that makes sense.
Does to me, so I will help where possible. It also means if you ever use Banishment, I can put one of my spells in there for you if I have any energy left for them.
It does indeed. So, what do you guys do?
Well, I haven't drunk in at least
I know.
30 minutes. I say we rejoin the party. You guys are welcome to join,
We've
unless you're still working.
yeah, we've got a few wards to repair, I'm afraid. Trying to find the bloody keystone unfortunately set us back a bit, and then meeting you, of course. But I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, me neither.
You kind of look around
well,
and notice that Riss has just been gathering different scrolls and is just sort of holding them underneath his arm, and kind of he's curled one of his wings just in front of him and is just ladling different scrolls into it, and it's just acting like a giant feathered bucket.
that's so cool. I know who my next character is going to be.
Aarakocra.
Anyways, shall we be off?
Sure.
I'll see you around.
Well, now that I know you're here, I should be able to contact you when I get
Great.
if I get word on it, or they may contact you themselves.
That will work. I
don't know how it will go, but yeah. Do let me know when you're leaving.
Will do. I start to leave. Then I turn back. I go, clean your room, Archibald. Trying to mimic my mother's voice. I leave.
Yes, sister.
I-
Kind of, you hear like a slight shifting of something before.
Oh no.
Alrighty. You make your way back to the inn, to which you find Vincent, Eryn enjoying a drink. And Rose sort of sat there, writing in a book, but taking occasional sips from her own drink.
Hello.
Hiya, how did it go?
I mean, as well as it could go. We've written a letter. We should be hearing back from them. I don't know when, but it's the best we could do. They're not ones for, meeting us halfway.
You can understand part of it, though, right?
Yeah. I actually tried to explain it.
I was thinking more. Say a strange group of people walked into Highever, just started exclaiming that they need the use of our army.
Yeah, no, I understand that bit, but it's not like all I want is an audience. I just want them to hear me out, and even that is proving to be challenging. I'm not asking them to follow me to war tonight.
Yeah, well.
It's hard saving the world. And I slump down next to her.
She just pushes over the remainder of her drink to you.
I pat her on the shoulder.
What have you guys been up to?
Drinking.
Yeah. Any sign of that Avenue girl?
Yes.
Oh, really? She came back.
Yes, she did, didn't she?
I look at Vincent.
Yeah, she was around.
Did she pay us?
Yeah, she gave me money for rescuing her. I have it
Are
here
we-
right now. I'm keeping it safe, just in case.
Okay.
Lucidity and all.
Are we
Yeah.
gonna split it, or is it not worth?
Well, like I said to Eryn, I think we can decide what we want to do with it later. It's not
Alright.
really of a concern right now. Money's certainly not the obstacle to our success here.
Eryn's nodding.
Alright, fair enough. I drink my ale.
Certainly. Well, and, probably most of the day in the tavern, unless there's anything else you particularly want to do.
Not for me.
No.
I'll change that to, is there anything you guys would like to do before we continue?
No.
No.
I would like to listen out to see if anyone talks about, you know, of any specific libraries that have books on gods and relics. And look, I came here for a reason. Fucking deal with it. It's a break from politics, okay?
Nyx reincarnated.
Not quite. Different motives.
Roll a perception check.
Only a +3.
Most of the people around don't really seem to be talking about their work. They seem to have come here to relax. The elves in the corner are semi-talking about work, but they're essentially just bitching and moaning about a couple of customers they have to deal with. As for the two who were arm resting and arm wrestling earlier, they appear to just be sort of drinking and having a laugh about apparently some game which happened 2-3 days ago.
I thought the people in the city would be more interesting.
They're people as well. All right. So other than that, you probably spend a good 5 hours,
Oh, yikes.
maybe even 6, kind of just sat
Wow.
around in this tavern, slowly drinking. To which Rose does warn you that if we're to have an audience today, you kind of need to be in some sort of state capable of speaking to them,
Oh, this is true.
as much as you'd like to just continue downing shit right now. However, as you are sat around the table having, I assume, some kind of conversation, not just sat in complete and utter silence,
Apparently not.
yeah, complete and utter silence. I'm looking for an adventuring party. I found them. It's the ones which aren't having conversation. Why, hello there.
Oh,
The tavern door opens and different people walk in. Soon the elves eventually leave. There are a variety of different humanoids who enter. You have humans, half-elves, elves, Aarakocras, but also some of the more bestial races you've seen walking around. A Minotaur does enter, who you're kind of looking at and sizing up, and he is probably the skinniest Minotaur you have ever seen, but even that, they are big. However, you've seen one or two around the city, but they don't seem to be the most common of races which live here. However, not that they don't. Time continues to pass as the patrons have their fill. The barkeep serves drinks, serves some lunch, serves drinks, does some cleaning, all of that great jazz. Till finally, The door opens, and just out of habit, you glance over to see a new randomer walks in. And this time, it is a medium height half elf. They have sort of light brownish hair, relatively short and scruffy looking. Doesn't look like it's seen a comb in God knows how many years. Slightly pointed ears. Smooth, sort of smooth, not chubby, but semi-rounded face with the beginnings of a beard growing through and a little bit patchy. They are wearing relatively, compared to everyone else in this tavern, over-the-top robes in the fact that they are almost immaculate. Look like they would have been freshly ironed but a few hours ago. And the colours are of a sort of reddish brown sort of colour. I see it in my mind's eye, but I'm shit with colour, so however you feel like interpreting that. I sort of guess more like a rust sort of colour. And they kind of look around, notice you guys, and wander over. Excuse me, I'm looking for, I believe, a Ray, brother of an Archibald. Was informed that they may be wearing some armor. And well, you are certainly an interesting bunch wearing armor.
I'm Ray.
Ah,
Do they
wonderful.
look familiar?
You roll a history check.
Ooh.
As you sort of looking them up and down, they sort of extend a hand. I am Marcus. Okay.
What's his name?
Marcus. The name and face feel familiar, but you can't place it.
I shake his hand.
Your letter was apparently of some interest, and you have a meeting with the council. Please follow. That's if you still wish to meet them.
Holy crap. Yeah, definitely. Please.
Wow.
Guys, I got a meeting with the council.
Will your whole party be joining us, or just yourself, miss?
The whole party.
I get up, yeah.
I take my boots off the table, stand up and brush myself down.
And just flicks his wrist, and as you brush yourself down, all of your clothes just sort of straighten themselves and just become slightly cleaner.
I quickly down my ale.
Well, I hope you're in fit state to talk to them.
I'm not much of a talker.
Tidy my hair up.
Wasn't quite what I was meaning. Please follow.
Can I walk next to Eryn?
Certainly.
I'm actually really nervous. I'm not good with the politics and talking bit.
It is a lot easier when you have a weapon in your hand, isn't it?
I feel like the less talking I do, the better it is for everyone else. Like you say, I'm much better with a sword. Will you help me?
Oh, I can try. Although really I'm not very good at talking either.
As long as you have my back.
Oh, I always have your back.
Okay, deep breath.
You can do this. Even though you and I both prefer a weapon in our hand, you still have the blood of aristocracy. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
And that probably means something, right? Have
We
faith in
can
yourself.
only hope. I tend to get angry very easily.
That shows that you're passionate about the situation. And I don't know about everyone, but it's sometimes good to know that someone's passionate. It means they care.
Okay.
Don't worry, Ray. And I
That's
slap her
fine.
on the shoulder. Just be yourself.
Oh, that's not good advice.
For once, maybe you should remember that who you are actually gives you legitimacy.
I mean, what is the word of tainted royal blood of a princess without a kingdom?
Far better than an elf we dragged out of a forest and a thief you dragged off the street.
Oh, I hope Archie will be there.
Well, as you have this conversation and follow Marcus, he leads you towards the bridge, actually the one which you tried to cross yourselves earlier, and just continues to walk forwards along the bridge, seemingly expecting you guys to follow.
I will walk forward, but like with my hand outstretched.
As you do so, you meet no resistance. He kind of looks over his shoulder and says, "Come on, got a fair bit of ground to cover.
Okay.
Hope you don't mind a bit of walking. And if you don't mind, I would suggest you keep your hands to yourselves." That his eyes sort of linger on Vincent.
Oh, it's not directed at me. Oh.
I look at Nettle suspiciously.
Sorry. You get used to it.
Come now, we've got distance to walk. And with that, he continues along the bridge. Now, these bridges are actually rather considerable in size. Probably takes you a good part of 20 minutes at a brisk walk to get all the way across them before you reach the second of the rings. He leads you through the streets. These ones are less grid-like than the first one and seem a bit more haphazardly built, almost as if the buildings were placed and then as an afterthought, people went, we need a way of walking between them. So sometimes the buildings get almost uncomfortably close together. However, Marcus continues to walk and occasionally does have to turn on his side and just sort of shuffle forwards through one or two spaces. But even as he does so, his robes just stay immaculate in their appearance. As you continue, you go past a variety of different buildings. You go past a couple more seemingly better built towers, things that you would assume to be warehouses. Pretty sure you walk past a couple of forges, along with other just large buildings, which Nettle seems to show a bit of an interest in, believing that some of these may be libraries or other such.
Mm-hmm.
However, you keep on walking throughout the city, occasionally Marcus stopping to make sure that you are all there, still present. Although he gives small bits of information as he walks, just sort of kind of pointing out and just saying, "Oh, I'm not entirely sure how familiar you are with the city, but that building there, you'd, if you were to be able to get inside, you would find that that one is actually where the new wooden iron men, or at least the core of them, is constructed. Requires quite a difficult task, and they're beginning to get a bit more efficient. But boy, it's certainly interesting to see in there." Anyway, continue.
I'm too busy giving myself pep talks to.
He doesn't seem to care. He leads you across yet another bridge as you head towards the now looming spire before you. There are fewer buildings here, and as you walk along the streets, you notice that there is now more often patches of grass and trees, and just seems to be a bit more nature on this ring. The buildings are older in appearance, more weathered and worn down, signs of being battered and beaten over numerous years. It'd be something that you would expect to see in a pretty old city, and it's a bit more what you were sort of expecting to see when especially for Ray, and I believe Nettle would probably also know how old this city actually is, to which the answer is rather old. Although, in comparison to some other cities, it's pretty new. However, you're continued on your walk. The roads are a bit less tight and a bit more sensibly laid out here. However, you are led to pretty much the very center of the city. It's where you come across, the base of the spire. Before you are two massive wooden doors, probably oak, your senses are telling you, Eryn.
Okay,
It's a darkish oak, probably stained.
very nice.
And,
Classy.
little bits of detail carved into them, but nothing over the top. As he kind of approaches, he glances over the group once more. All here and present? Good. And glances up at the sky, looks around. 5 minutes to spare. Wonderful. Well, I guess I should show you in. And that he kind of pulls his arms up, kind of flexes slightly before pushing against the two doors and shoving. The wood creaks as pressure is applied. However, after the first initial push, there's not much noise or sound to be heard as they swing open before as they hit the edge of their movement. What was enclosed within this rather plain-looking stone spire is now visible. A massive granite entrance hall, lined with 16 different pillars leading forwards, 8 on either side, each pair a different colour, but similar stone. Starting, there's pale blue, leading to a dark pine-like green, to a silvery white, to a deep and rich purple, to a vibrant red, a void-like black with white spots, pale yellow, and last but not least, a somewhat dull orange sort of colour. Small flames seem to hang in the air, suspended by nothing but are hanging seemingly as if suspended by something a few inches off the walls. They appear to be burning the air itself, and their flames flicker, give light across pillars and floor. The shadows dance around the hall as the gentle breeze is now being let in. However, it still illuminates enough to see reasonably well without the dark vision. And this allows you to, see the main part of this entrance. At the end of the hall, a massive carved dragon, reaching 170 feet in height. It stands upon its hind legs, tail wrapping over its feet. With wings and arms outstretched to the sides, its neck extends towards the ceiling. Large and heavy stone chains seem to wrap over and around the creature's wings and arms, as if trying to hold it down, whilst the head stares up towards the heavens, clutching something in its jaws. Upon slightly closer inspection, as you're led into the hall, appears to be a very large emerald, cut and sparkling white. Marcus kind of ushers you in, and as you all step past the doors, they just start to swing closed on their own and no in. Welcome to the Spire. The council is still probably in their previous meeting. If you don't mind just waiting in here for a little while, I'll be back when they're ready for you. Hands to yourself, please. Thank you. He kind of turns sharply on his heel and wanders off through what you now see as several different entrances or exits to the main hall.
I don't know if I can do this.
You'll be fine.
Ray, you'll be fine. You'll be more than fine.
Well, what if I mess up and then it's just us against the lich? What then?
It won't be just us against a lich. These people, if they are stupid, they won't help. And hopefully they're not. They have to help us.
Everyone I've
Also have your
spoken
father.
to. That's true. Everyone I've spoken to has been convinced that they won't want help.
Just make sure that they know that this threat could come here too.
Yeah.
And
But
we
we are
got your
best
back. We've got your back as well.
Or make it in their interest to help.
How?
Nettle had an idea earlier.
Do you know, put forward the idea of the lich probably amassing vast amounts of arcane knowledge as, I mean, he's a lich. They have liches here. You're going to need a lot of arcane knowledge to become a lich.
So, you think I should propose the idea that we sit down and have tea with him, ask him his secrets?
No, that if they take on the lich, then they may take whatever arcane knowledge he has, or arcane trinkets, items, gemstones. They may take it for themselves. Books too, he might have arcane books.
Not sure about books, but he did have an impressive looking skull.
Impressive how?
I don't know, but he was trying very hard to protect it.
That was probably his phylactery then.
Huh. I can't do this.
Ray, you can do this. You can. You just don't know it. You are a lot stronger than you think. Not just with a sword, but in your mind as well.
Sorry.
What?
She
What?
thinks more of herself than anyone I've ever met.
I mean, as painful as it is to hear this, the worst they can do is say no. So you go elsewhere. It's a big world out there. I'm sure there's plenty of people who would like to get a lich.
Look, we'll cover for you. If you make a mistake, then we'll...
I'm not holding your hand.
Do you want the help or not?
I just don't want to hold your hand.
You'd be lucky.
What was that?
Nothing. I said good luck.
Okay. I start pacing.
I investigate the dragon. It's a dragon.
It's a dragon, and it's 170 feet in height.
No.
Roll investigation.
I'll be careful about touching it.
Ray,
Hmm.
right, sit down next to me.
I sit down next to Eryn.
Tell
my foot.
me what is a happy memory from your childhood?
Well, there was that time that Archie and I snuck into the kitchens to steal food. And then we got chased through the castle. That was kind of funny.
Right. Good. That's good. Anything else?
Not gonna lie, Eryn, I'm not thinking too closely about however right now.
Ugh, fair. Sometimes what I do when I'm in a very stressful situation is I think about something that makes me happy. And then sometimes that makes all my fear go away. Sometimes.
Fake it till you make it.
Essentially.
Fear, I'm not afraid.
Okay. Whatever you say.
I can't do this.
Oh dear. I start tapping my foot.
Now 2 people tapping their feet in sync. All right, Nettle, looking around, the stone is it is a sort of dull grey, not very interesting choice, but the detail carved into it is to a semi-insane degree. Now, either it took a mason many years to put this much detail into it, or it may have been fabricated by those who knew how to carve stone, but also knew magic.
Right.
As for that, as for the gem, glancing up, you could probably guess it's anywhere between 5 to 7 feet in diameter. Just
bigger
going
than
off the size
me.
of the head and the size of it from that perspective wise. Other than that, not much else to tell.
Alright. I'm satisfied. Jot it in my memory bank somewhere. It's a point of interest.
I'm writing a tour book, don't you know?
Oh yes, indeed. A tour book for when I revisit, many years down the line.
Righty. So, either to your stress or relief, you aren't kept waiting too long. A couple of minutes later, Marcus appears, looks at you and goes, "They're ready to see you now. Please follow me."
Okay.
Leads you down leads you down a hallway which slowly kind of curves with what you're now realizing is probably the general curvature of the spire and the building to which you're now standing in, seeing as it is circular in nature and shape. Leads you around, probably about, you'd guess, around a quarter of it before turning, entering into the doors on your left and leading you in. It's a small room with a table in there and a couple more chairs, but he just gestures for you to follow. and pushes open a second pair of doors, which now leads into a much larger hall. It is well lit, but the floor seems to be made of a black stone, so the light doesn't seem to reflect too well on it. There is about 4 or 5 different tables placed in front of relatively, what you assume is relatively comfy and also relatively large chairs. Upon these 13 chairs sit 13 individuals, each wearing wildly different clothing, and all eyes fall upon you. Marcus steps forward. For your consideration, the council has called for... Oh shit, I've actually forgotten what your surname... there we go. The council called for a Ray Callion to come and talk about the issue presented via Mistress Vanish. The woman in sort of a long flowing silk dress, light blue in colour, sort of gives a nod, and you see a rather grumpy looking dwarf just kind of go... There's a mixture of different races within the room. You pick out human, half-elf, elf, orc, or half-orc, hard to tell. A creature who appears to be a shrunken elephant, as well as the previously mentioned dwarf, or one of a couple. One of the seats is, however, empty. Marcus returns to you and points them. You will find the council, the central 8 are those of the institutes, each house of magic involved in the city's upkeep. To the left, the 2 dwarfs, you have the Quillmaster and the Admiral. To the right, you have Lawseeker. And he points to the elephant. Please, you have the stage. And kind of steps back and gestures for you guys to step forwards. Apparently there's some dogs barking as well.
Okay. Take a deep breath and a step forward.
Follow behind.
Allow
The
me
party
to...
takes 1 step forwards and sync.
Allow me to formally introduce myself. My name is Reiko Kalin, daughter of Fendril Kalin, king of Hyeva. I'm also the sister of Archie, who I'm sure you know.
The woman previously introduced as Mistress Havanish sort of gives a short nod.
We come here today to present to you a very imminent threat, which you may or may not be aware of. There is a lich on the mainland. I keep calling it the mainland. I don't actually know what it's called.
Okay, go on.
It's Jetta.
Jetta. Some of us have seen it with our own eyes. Others, such as my bodyguard from Hyeva over here, has seen the army in its full strength. It is currently unparalleled and very dangerous. And we believe that it won't stop at anything in its path. We don't think it'll stop on the continent or Retlam. And ultimately we come seeking aid to stop this threat in its tracks.
The half-orc, who appears to be wearing a pretty bright purple shirt with what appears to be a knitted orange scarf just sort of wrapped around him, straightens up and leans forward. And what kind of aid are you seeking from us?
Well, we have previously worked with the Mist Guard. We know of their capabilities. We would be very grateful for their aid in battle against the Lich and its ever-growing army.
So, you're asking us to send our army to fight your battle?
I'm ultimately asking you to send your army to help us fight our battle before it becomes your battle.
Kind of leans back in his chair a bit. Edgar, have you seen or any of your seen of this Lich and his army? One of the elves, wearing a silvery white suit with an opal-coloured bow tie, sits leg over the other, fingers sort of steeped together. I'm afraid most of ours have been focused on the Maelstrom and the upcoming threat of the Elder Tempest. We haven't really had much of a reason to look further afield, though I do believe we are very aware of several wars happening on the continent of Jeddah at this point in time.
This is unlike anything you've heard of. This undead army grows with every battle it comes across.
Yes, well, you see, we also have the problem of the Winter Court. They are a continuing problem for us. I believe that we're expecting them to attack again soon. I would personally advise that the army stays here.
I don't think you understand. This isn't just some series of battles with some enemy that can be slain and cut down like any other man. This is an army of undead. They will continue to spread to every corner of the world if they aren't stopped,
Don't be
including
preposterous.
this hall, perhaps even. We have seen it for ourselves. There are many on the continent who have seen it as well.
A relatively pale-faced and silver-haired humanoid. Looks mostly human, although slightly pointed ears. They appear to be wearing just relatively simple robes. Color, just several greys, really. And they sort of undead are no threat. You may fear them, but that is merely probably because you do not understand them. To fell them by blade, yes, is quite a task indeed. To simply unweave the enchantment which is animating them, that is something which could be achieved much more easily. If an army you're speaking of on such scale, I would hazard a guess they are not the most refined type. If we are to send aid, I wouldn't recommend the army. Perhaps a handful of decent spellcasters. With that, you see that like the tips of the hair sort of change color slowly as they're speaking and sort of gain a darker brown before fading back to a grey. Well,
I look over to Ray.
I'll step forward and clear my throat. Right now, you're thinking about whether or not this war is just another war worth getting involved in. I've came with Ray and the rest of these people because I understand now that this is the only war. We're different people from different backgrounds, and this lich does not care. If you think this is just a war on the continent, if you think you can sit this out because this is not your war, you'll find an imminent threat on your doorstep. We're here telling you about it today, requesting the aid of your army because right now we believe that we have the strength to stop it if we have your aid. If you leave this problem and you don't deal with it sooner rather than later, it's going to turn up on your doorstep far stronger than it is now. And maybe you could stop it. And I'm not saying that you could, but even if you could find a way to take down this lich, how many more innocent people in your city have to die because you didn't do anything right now when we came to warn you? They don't see us as any different. You might see them as different, but to that lich, we are all just monsters. I've heard that you have some liches in the city with you. You know that over time, all they do is they collect power, they collect arcane knowledge, and they just get more and more powerful. If you don't do something now, if you don't help us, this might be a threat beyond you, beyond any of us.
one of the dwarfs sort of straightens up and goes, as a passionate plea as that is, if we send our army to aid you, there may be no city for the army to return.
I'm not
This is
saying
not
you
a
have to
simple
send the
case
whole
of
army.
we send out the army and all is happy. We require them here. They are here. We got them back for a reason. Speaking of which, and he turns to look at the half-orc. How many of the ships are even capable of flying at this moment in time? Of the current state of which some of the enchantments are in? Two. Even then, I wouldn't trust one of them.
But it's better odds than we have right now.
Excuse me for possibly speaking out of turn here. Could you explain in some more detail the problem you're currently facing that is rendering your ships unable to cross the sea?
The elf who'd previously spoken leans forward and goes, we have numerous reasons why we recalled the Misguard. One of which, the enchantments to which we had given them were wearing thin and in need of updating, reprocessing, and general improvements to which we had come across. That is one of the reasons why we would struggle to send them. One of the reasons why we don't want to send them is we have a current ongoing problem of the Winter Court of the Feywild trying to claim an artifact they have no business holding. And other than that, I am not entirely sure how you got here, but you must have, if travelled by sea, perhaps heard or seen of the Maelstrom, which is our current source of grief and interest.
So, those of the... Just double checking, those of the Winter Court from the Feywild are taking claim to an artifact you believe they should not have?
Most certainly.
Then, what if we have a deal of sorts? Maybe we can find a way to sort this for you.
I think you underestimate the Winter Court.
I think you
propose a
underestimate
way.
us.
Small smile creeped onto the elf face. Propose away, little one.
I didn't hear what he said.
Propose away, little one.
Look. Give me 2 secs. Actually, wait, Nettle would know about travelling between planes. We have a way to travel between planes, Arkenfell, but Nettle doesn't know about Arkenfell. So what does Nettle know about shifting between the planes to possibly go to the Feywild to deal with this problem?
Roll an intelligence check, please. And actually, roll a... we will go a knowledge arcana and a knowledge nature, please.
So, is that... So, Arcana...
I need 2 rolls from you.
2 rolls, Arcana and Nature?
Yes, you are asking 2 very different questions.
Damn it, Nettle. Now's not the time to be rolling low. Oh, thank God for that, at least.
Arcana, you are aware that there are numerous spells which are capable of sending you between planes, and you are most certainly certain that you could find someone in this city capable of doing it. As for nature, there are 2 courts in the Feywild. Well, 2 reasonably known courts in the Feywild. That of the Summer Court and that of the Winter Court. You don't particularly want to meet either of them, but if you had to choose, you would choose the Summer Court because you're more than likely to at least get out somewhat alive. The courts are akin to continental-sized kingdoms which have a strong disagreement with each other. Although not always at war, and often work together, and there are multiple parts of them. In fact, there are more chords to which work to and against them. You have a feeling that they are probably generalizing a problem, but you might consider rescinding that offer to go deal with this problem.
Oh, really? Okay.
You have essentially offered to go deal with a problematic nation.
Maybe
Heck,
I should
you've
reframe.
essentially gone, deal with our... You've essentially gone, here's a problem we can't handle. Oh, that's a problem we could handle, which is akin to the problem we can't handle.
I was more thinking of just stealing the artifact, personally. Cough. Do they already have their hands on said artifact?
No, they are trying to get it, which is why they are attacking. Or
I see.
to attack. Half orc leans forward. We are getting off track.
So you're not going to help us?
We're not able to send the army anywhere really at this moment in time. The... where is it? Yeah, the Furbolg, which has been sat relatively silent for now. They're wearing leather armor, which appears to be made of just strips of leather woven together. It looks functional, but also somewhat interestingly to look at designed. if we are not to send the entire army, one ship, it may be good to send. Some of this stuff is untested. Would it not be a good idea to get some field testing done? And perhaps send a little aid? No? Half-orc sort of just rolls their eyes. Perhaps. But I would only trust sending one ship. Don't think the other would even make it past the maelstrom.
What about when you do have the resources and you have more ships? Do you have any idea how long it'll take?
To get all the ships up and running? If this army is as strong and as fast as widespreading as you say, we may be defending our very own borders against them.
So okay.
And at this point, the half-elf who actually forward and goes, they have clearly given a passionate plea, and we have some resources which are just lying around. As our dear friend Feijorn suggested, we could use this as a chance to run some field tests. Perhaps we may even find something interesting for us to use. The others sort of look at each other. The dwarf who hasn't spoken but made his intentions quite clear continues to roll. One of the members who hasn't spoken yet. They are humanoid but feline in features, with shock white hair and a sort of shock white. You would almost start to call it fur coming off parts of them. They wearing sort of like simplistic robes with no sleeves, because the odd sort of, in stark contrast, black and then also bits of white on it. We are currently suffering from a shortage of some of the materials from the Holdira mountain range due to the other war. They could always go to collect some of these materials on our behalf. Do a bit of recon, perhaps provide a little bit of aid before returning. That might speed up the process of getting the other ship ready. Norfolk sort of... You see him sort of pushing a fist into his hand. Vin's beginning to show slightly. Clearly not too happy. It might speed it up if we had some of the materials we were expecting. Yes. So, what is the council going to decide? They all kind of lean back, stare at each other, trying to judge. Well, what are we laying before? Going to send the Skywing? How many men? That ship can't hold wyverns, can it? And the dwarf which has spoken, takes it. No, that is one of our held wyverns, you wouldn't hold much else on it, and you wouldn't get much back. Looking at 60 men. Enough room for some cargo back.
Didn't you say something about spellcasters as well?
We might be able to include a few to aid you. So, one ship, 40 of the Misguard, a caster from each of our houses, and 2 others who may want to go for their own research. Send them off. Would that be to your liking, miss?
We would be very grateful.
Kind of glances around the room, and the half-elf speaks up again. Any objections to this? You see 1 or 2 sort of shuffle, and the half-orc kind of goes to stand up, and then you notice a rather poignant glance from the half-elf makes him reconsider.
Let's go half elf.
Good. So then, as the half-keeper and the 13th member of this council, we shall decide it to be so. The RCS Skywing will be made ready. And he kind of glances at the dwarf grumbling. We shall each of those from the institutes shall send forth a chosen wizard, and the place will be offered up to a couple others who wish to go. How long will it take for the ships to be ready? Ship to be ready. And the dwarf kind of leans forward and goes, hazarding a guess. We'll need to get supplies onto it. Tomorrow morning if to work through the night. Very well then. The council has to... Here, let me show you out. And he heads back towards the doors, which again swing open, and he gestures for you.
Deep bow. Leave. Run.
I follow Nettle.
Congratulations, you managed to get them riled up.
Well, someone had to.
It's fun to watch them sometimes. Anyway.
Okay.
Forgot.
Compassionate plea, I must say. From one I was not quite expecting it. And he kind of glances at Vincent.
Yeah, neither was I.
Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to show you back to the outer ring, but please, follow. Relax the most you can for the rest of the day. Someone will come collect you to set sail come morning. Although you're in the Misguard, are you not?
Yes.
Anyone in particular you would like to head this?
If I can make a request, I already met Captain Stoella, and I know a little bit about her reputation.
Ooh, that explains some of it. I don't think Casper will be too happy to relinquish the control over the Skywing, but... This can be a fine ship. I will see what I can do.
Muchly appreciated.
No worries. And with that, he leads you back through the city, to the edge of the first bridge, to which you struggled to get through and met Riss. Kind of gestures for you to make her leave. Is there anything you do or say whilst traveling for, I don't know, probably about half an hour to 40 minutes?
I
Yeah.
grumble about bureaucrats.
I then nudge Eryn in the side and say, "We did it."
Sorry, what did Eryn say to begin with?
I hate bureaucrats.
Ah. You kind of get a glance from Marcus and goes, I am one of them, you know.
I really don't care.
Mm. Alrighty. So, as you're led to the edge of the
Sorry.
bridge...
Not my own opinion, it's Eryn.
Sorry. Being a cunt.
He leads you to the edge of the bridge. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I
Thank you.
scoff.
Try not to die against this incredibly devastating threat. Kind of raises one of his eyebrows. Adios.
Ooh.
And turns and walks away.
I don't like any of them.
Yeah, we got that. Anyway, we did it. It's not an army, but it's something.
Something, yeah.
It's more than what you expected.
It's more than we had.
It is more than we had. And with any luck, my father would have done some work back on Jetta.
One thing we haven't thought of. This is going to take us a while to get back if we travel via that skyship.
Most
Eryn
definitely.
starts sweating.
Oh my god, if another one of my characters fucking dies on a ship. I swear to god. But not even
No
my
one give your
character.
characters to Abby while we're on the ship.
Might it be feasible we find a different method of travel and then meet up with them once they have made the journey themselves?
Perhaps.
I
Yes.
would prefer that. Gives me time to hopefully track down my father. We might have more aid than we thought we did.
Then we should probably speak to them about that when they come to get us tomorrow.
Well, you could have mentioned something.
Look, we're going to have to tell them where they're going anyway.
Okay, this is true. So are we taking Argenfell back? Do you think he's still waiting for us?
I don't know. Bit of a creep.
He's really creep.
He tends to just stay in one port until someone hires him, and then I assume he goes to wherever they wanted to go, and then stays there until someone hires him to where.
Oh, I can't imagine there are many people around where we left him. I can't imagine there are many people who want to experience the same things we experienced, to be honest. Or we can see about renting Rivens.
Did you say
What?
wyverns?
Rivens?
That won't be quicker.
No, I didn't think so.
Mm-mm.
Argenfell it is. Let's go fight an astral dragon.
I'm sorry, a what?
Oh.
Don't ask. Please.
We've got a few stories to tell you tonight, Nettle.
I'm not quite sure if I'm looking forward to them.
No, well,
Perhaps you could speak to your brother.
he did want me to tell him when I'm leaving.
I was meaning more that maybe something he can do to help us. Might have a better idea. I mean, we did literally jump through a hole in a grass and blood-stained floor and end up in a freaking
Brothel.
Brothel.
I mean, no
The
offense to
finest
your...
brothel I've ever been to.
Eryn's eyes almost glaze over in happiness.
Well,
No, that's a good point. Let's
well,
head over for a family visit.
Righty. And I think. What were you going to say, Abby?
This is just Nettle commenting on the fact that they don't think Archie is powerful enough, so maybe to ask Riss instead, and also if they do have a location of a teleportation circle, hopefully they remember it, or have something of some kind of connection to it.
Do you reckon there'll be one here? Dude, if there was one here, we could have, just sidetracked
No.
so much bullshit.
There's a high chance there will be a teleportation circle here. There's also a high chance that
I will
barely
actually
anyone will be allowed
remind
to
you
use it.
that your brother said the only way to and from the city is through the method you use, flying from the island up.
So maybe on the island there is teleportation circles, because I feel like teleportation circles are a little more easier to access once you know them, and having one directly into your city could spell all sorts of bad things if you're not careful.
Yeah, so the only way to get to the city from directly below it is the ship that we used. But that was only an hour. That's not the problem. The problem is getting back to Jetta.
I know. I'm saying there might be a teleportation circle on the island below us.
Yeah, no,
I will quickly. A teleportation circle is the destination.
I was also just kind of realising that. I was like, hang on a minute, we don't need that.
So it's like
That's if we want to come back.
Fuck. I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it. It's like an anchor point. And so no matter where you are in the world, you have to be on the same plane, unfortunately, but no matter where you are on the world, as long as you know the specific sequence and runes that make up that teleportation circle, no matter where you are in the world, you can always recall to that point. And that is done with the spell. Now, to create one of those circles requires a ridiculously long amount of time of laying out the circle and essentially casting the spell over and over again until it becomes a permanent circle. But so where the city might not have any permanent circles within it, that doesn't mean you can't teleport out of it.
It's like in League when we recall to base. But there's multiple bases and you have to know where the base is / of the base in order to recall to it.
Yeah, don't think of it like technology teleporting where you go in one teleporter and come out the other. Think it is a much more sort of, I guess, kind of Rick and Morty-esque dimension gun sort of thing of no, that one doesn't work too well. Shit. I cannot think of any similarities to Pool 2.
That's why I used League of Legends. Because
it is similar. So as long as you can cast magic, you can always recall to where that specific point in space is. However, yeah. I hope that makes sense.
Yep.
I would say your characters would have some understanding of that. You don't need to go to a fixed point to go to another fixed point. You can, but it's not needed.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, are you suggesting that...
Who's caught up on Critical Role?
Nobody.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so basically, we just need to find someone who can cast teleportation to get us back to that.
That's where Archie comes in.
Who's watched somewhat into the first season of Critical Role?
I have.
No.
Have you got past Kavan?
I watched all of it.
Okay, so Kavan. Hopefully, this isn't spoilers for anyone. Kavan the Beholder.
Yep.
You know when Tiberius runs away, starts casting teleportation.
Yes.
He essentially draws the circle on the ground, and then all the party jump through, and
Yes.
then they appear in the. I can't remember what the name of the frickin' place is in Amon, which the magic place in Amon. They appear there.
That where Allura lives.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you.
and they meet like the somewhat snooty guy who tries to get them to fill out forms, and then they go off elsewhere, and then Tiberius casts teleportation circle, and they end up in the same place.
Oh. I mean, it's not that difficult a concept, right? You can cast a spell wherever you like. You just always turn up at the same
Yeah,
place.
you have to. Yeah, I guess it's a bit like a phone number.
It's
Actually,
like a set respawn point. You can't respawn just anywhere, but you can go to a specific place to respawn.
Very
I actually
true.
kind of like the phone number. As
Yeah,
long as you have
that's
the
pretty
phone
good.
number, no matter where you are.
Yeah, there you go. That was easy.
Yeah,
There we go. I finally thought of a real world application.
I like the respawn
Little help
point
from
more.
Purple.
Yes.
It is like phoning home. ET phone home. Right.
So we just got to get Archie / Riss to cast it on us. Cast it for us.
If they know it.
I'm also gonna pass
Yes,
to
I know.
Archie.
Don't pester my brother.
But he
He's
knows
been through a lot.
magic.
Actually, he's been through nothing.
He's been through a lot of nothing and me telling him to tidy his room.
Exactly. He
That's a
seems to have
lot, right?
taken. He's taken the news well, though. Better than I did. I blew up a tree.
You almost blew up part of a temple.
There are multiple.
I did blow up part of a temple.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple stages.
You'd be
Bless
pleased
him.
to hear that
The first one
Nettle doesn't
being
care.
quite appropriately denial.
But I mean, like, Archie might know about places I can get into without getting in trouble. Just because I want to look
You
at
really,
stuff.
you think he'd give you that information?
I mean, you can watch me.
Hey, as far as Archie's concerned, you've been traveling with Nettle since you disappeared.
Hello. See, I'm best friends with Ray. So, she said it was okay, as long as,
I was
like...
going to say, you haven't actually told him much about Anyway, we shall leave this for next time, if you don't mind.
Yeah.